My mentor in the industry was a gentleman named Jim Blanchard, who was actually instrumental in getting gold legalized in the United States in the early 70s. He actually started Gold Newsletter, which I publish now, as a lobbying tool in 1971. The minute that Nixon closed the gold window and came up with that announcement, he knew that he was going to advocate to get gold legalized and started Gold Newsletter at that very moment. So I kind of learned at his knee as a junior copywriter in the mid 1980s. And he had the most fundamental understanding of gold's role, because obviously, known as the original gold bug, he had studied it and really just kind of inherently absorbed it into the very fiber of his being, the real role of gold. And he regarded it as just physical freedom. Gold throughout human history has meant freedom for whoever held it. And it insulates you from government actions in so many ways. And I have, as you can imagine, a lot of people new to the sector coming to me and asking me those real questions. How do I get involved in gold? What should I do? And I tell them always that they need to start with physical bullion, gold and silver, some mix thereof, because it acts as insurance for your wealth, or whatever level of wealth you have. You're insuring that by owning physical metals and in your possession or ready access. However you choose to do that, you need to have it readily accessible. And it's insurance not against a possibility, not like your home insurance where maybe your house might catch on fire. You're insuring against an inevitability. You're insuring against something that you know is going to happen, is happening, and that's the destruction of the purchasing power of the dollar. So you need to own gold and silver to insure against that. Now, once you have that foundation set, you can build on top of it. You can find paper representations of gold and silver. The right ETFs like PSLV and PHYS, the Sprott Physical Trust, that actually allocate metal to you. You can get more metal and store it in some storage programs. You can, if you want, play the futures and options game if you're sophisticated enough to do that. If you believe in the economic investment argument for higher metals prices going forward. And you can play around in the mining stocks, which itself is an entire spectrum of majors, mid-tiers, junior producers, exploration stocks, et cetera, et cetera. And it's the junior mining stocks that we focus on in Gold Newsletter a lot. So yeah, it's a big spectrum, a wide spectrum, but physical bullion is the first step and the one that I encourage everyone to take initially. We've had, in this situation, unprecedented money printing. I mean, you can talk about how it's not really money printing quantitatively since there are a lot. No, it's money printing. It's debt creation. Debt is money. This is money that's been spent by the government and others, put out in the economy. And we've never had in U.S. history this kind of stimulus outside of wartime. And even comparisons to World War II, it blows everything out of the water. So the fundamental case is so strong, and we had such a powerful run up until August of 2020. And the depth of that correction has shocked me. Nothing that I, predicted. I came out and said, okay, we've got support at this level. Bam, gold fell right through it. Well, there's really strong support at this lower level. Bam, gold went through it. Went through the 50, 200, 300, 400-day moving averages, everything. It kept dropping. And it was really quite amazing to see that with that backdrop of this remarkably bullish fundamental case. And I think that was the reason. If you look at it from a bit long-term perspective, take a step back, it's the job of a bull market in any commodity or asset, and historically, especially in gold, to shake out the weak hands, to get you to have to check your premises, to shake your convictions. And the convictions were so strong in this environment that gold really had its job cut out for it to really get people depressed, really wipe out that enthusiasm and try to get to an exhaustion of the sellers. So it needed a much deeper, longer lasting, harsher correction to try and wipe out that enthusiasm. And it didn't quite get to the point where you and I and our fellow gold and silver bugs gave up the ghost and sold our metal and sold our junior mining stocks, et cetera. But it did wipe out the generalist and did get this hardcore community at least pretty depressed and despondent. I think, knock on wood, that we've had a bottom, we've had a double bottom, and it looks better going forward. But we also have to remember that gold is not looking at what's happening right now. It's not looking at what's happening next week or even next month. Gold's looking way down the line at what the next steps are going to be. And when you look at the size of the debt that's been accumulated in the US economy particularly, but really around the world, what's coming up is going to be pretty dramatic, and may even involve at some point a very significant monetary reset. So gold is going to be looking at that, and we will see the metal respond to those potential developments much more so than what we're seeing over the next week or two. Yeah, that's commonly referred to as the Great Reset. And how does that get accomplished? It doesn't get accomplished in concert with all the other major world currencies. Janet Yellen is talking now about having coordinated tax policies across the major developed economies so that you can't flee to relative tax havens. The assumption there being that there's honor among thieves. So I don't think there's much going to happen in that regard, but maybe it happens in concert with all the other currencies so that one country doesn't suffer the embarrassment of evaluating their currency and how to put it together. The easiest way, I think, to resolve all this, to get instant credibility to any currency, is to attach it to gold and or silver somehow, or some basket of commodities. So that may happen to some degree. Now, contrary to popular belief, that doesn't necessarily mean a gold standard. You can still have you don't have to have a set relation to the gold price, but you could establish a gold-based currency that can function alongside the fiat currency. But yeah, I think in some way, shape or fashion, that attaching the dollar to gold could happen, and is probably the best way to do it ultimately.